Sure, talking about features is great, but we gotta see this thing in action. Ever watch somebody on rollerblades hold a gimbal? Oh, this is dangerously fun. All that was filmed with the setup you see here. No additional stabilization was used, just the RS2 and the 6K Pro. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. There was this video 8-10 years ago that I loved on YouTube, and it's this one of a rollerblader with a MOVI chasing a cab. And with the side-by-side of the behind the scenes and the final image, I just thought, whoa, this is something really cool and dynamic that I could probably do. I thought I could do it handheld. It never worked out. Definitely needed gimbal tech to come a little way. All right, fun examples to make you want to try this yourself. Check. We gotta get back to important other things, like making sure we know how to set this thing up. First of all, why get one of these? Why get a gimbal? Well, for me, someone who operates frequently as a solo operator, I want to be able to get smooth, dynamic shots while being able to pull manual focus. And I know many people have used autofocus with gimbals before, and there were previous solutions for manual focus on the Ronin S. Neither of those worked for me. I need manual focus. I like it for how I shoot and tell stories. My second reason for getting a gimbal is that I want a little more dynamic motion, again, when I'm a solo operator, but in this case, when shooting myself. I don't have an assistant to move the camera around for me sometimes. So I want to be able to get movement in a shot. I'm going to have to get a motion control system or hire someone. Well, with the active track system in the Ronin RS2, I can create a box around a subject and the camera will follow me as I move throughout space. It's really cool. I can't just talk about it and not show it to you. You can just drag your finger and make a box over a shape and it generates a little square around it. And now, if I move over here, the camera follows me. So now, if I wanted to walk around and talk and not have an operator capture me, I can have my little robot dog follow me around and keep me in the frame. I can stand up straighter, it will find me. I can duck down lower, it will find me. Another feature this thing has, one that I will rarely ever use, it's called Force Mobile. My phone becomes the controller of the camera. It's quite sensitive, as you can see, but if I move this up and down, the camera moves up and down and side to side. Wherever this moves, that moves. Now there's much more options of control, and all of them make my life so much easier. And a side note, if you take this opportunity to like the video and subscribe to the channel, my little Ronin robot dog will stop following me every time I try to leave the house with a different camera. So please consider subscribing to the channel. It's my only hope for not having a tail. I showed them the thing. Will you stop following me now?
I'm sorry,
George Michael.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
If, like me, you have hated setting up gimbals before, I promise you, this is the easiest gimbal setup I've ever done. A lot of the principles you know already apply here. So I'm going to walk you through it. If you already know what you're doing, start with what you think you should do, and you're most likely going to get there. This is how it's going to end up. A phone for a monitor, a focus control motor being pulled by our trigger finger here, and the control of the camera on the stop-start button so that I can get a good old tally light without having to touch the screen. Let's walk it back and show you how I got here. All right, this is everything disassembled. We've got the camera itself, my phone for a monitor, the gimbal itself, the focus motor, a RavenEye wireless transmitter, and the HDMI cable we'll need to get picture. All this stuff comes in the Pro combo with the RS2. Ready? Go. On the bottom of the camera we have a small rig quick release plate. It's Parka Swiss. It works perfectly with the plate from DJI. This literally just slides in from the left, and then you'll just need to use a little button to get it to go past and get it to go over where you need to get a kind of generally good balance. Lock that into place. A great feature of the gimbal is that you can lock the individual axes. So I don't need to balance each one all at once. I can lock that into place. I can lock this into place and get everything going. I'd actually recommend doing that before putting the camera on light edges. Once camera's locked in, you can plug in all your cables. 1, 2, 3. It's important you do actually follow which cable goes where, because they do have some importance. This top cable here is the one that goes to the camera. So I feed it underneath the lens and it goes into the USB-C port over here. If your camera's not USB-C, you'll use a different cable, but we're focusing on the Blackmagic right now. Number 2, that goes into the focus motor. It powers the focus motor. And number 3 is going to go into the bottom RavenEye, which we need to put into place. Taking the RavenEye, it goes underneath and kind of clicks into place. It's very straightforward, and you hear it very solidly. I leave my antennas out just for maximum range, but if you find you need to tuck them in for whatever reason, you can go ahead and do that. Then swing the focus motor up into place so that it's going to touch your lens there and tighten that. I have found that this spins a little bit, so be delicate when pulling focus. Don't rip to one side and back and forth. That'll kind of knock it out of place. But being delicate is probably a good idea when you're on the gimbal anyway. Now I'm going to take the HDMI cable that goes out of the RavenEye. Oh, that's the wrong side. Out of the RavenEye and into the camera itself. That's plugged in. Then we're going to take our last USB-C cable from the bottom port here, and that goes into the back of the RavenEye there. All right, now we got to get it actually balanced. So we're going to unlock this axis first, and it looks like we're a little far back. So we're going to loosen this knob here, and we're going to send the camera a little bit forward until it doesn't kind of move out of place. Looks pretty safe. Lock it in. If I cut, it's just because I didn't like what I said, not because I'm buying time. So this talking time is me making up for the time I should have been building things, and it should have counted in the setup time. All right, unlocking the next axis. You can see we're rolling a little far to the left. So we're going to unlock this one. We're going to just shimmy this a little bit, a little too far. Use your weight here to make these move. They are easier to move than the RS2s, but they do have the same nature of just going a little too far. We don't want them to. Great. That looks all right. Okay, last axis. Let's get this one here. We want the camera to just kind of sit flat up, which it kind of already is. Pretty good, maybe a little right, but here's the truth. You only have to get it most of the way there. The gimbal does do a lot of the work for you. One thing I forgot to mention that you should definitely do after powering up your gimbal, which is the next step, is using the auto calibrate function. That's what I'm talking about when I say the gimbal does a lot of the work. That auto calibration gets rid of any slight misbalances you might have put onto the gimbal. Pressing the power button once and then twice, the Ronin RS2 will boot up. You'll see it lock into place and have control of your camera. The RavenEye on the bottom, you need to press once and press again, and that will also turn on. And go into your phone, go into the Ronin's settings, make sure your Face ID finds you, and you can go into the Ronin app and have connect to the RavenEye selected. You then just have to connect to the RavenEye's Wi-Fi network. If it's the first time you're connecting, you put in the password, it's literally on it. Power up your camera, and you will now have picture going to your phone. No need to have a monitor cable coming out of your gimbal. Those were super cumbersome in gimbals of the past, but not an issue here. And now, I have control with this gimbal. It is fully set up, ready to go. I can pull focus with this front knob here, right here, and I'm able to pull focus on the camera as I need. Another cool tip, if you have pressed the record button, the autofocus feature of the camera and the lens, if it has it, will be put into play. I have this for an additional support. This is just a NATO handle that goes on the side, but I find it just something when I'm holding and trying to get a smooth pan left to right. This works pretty well. So including all that talking, this can't have been that much time. It is a very swift setup, pretty reliable, especially if you're using the same lenses over and over. There's not a lot of rebalancing. You can kind of, measure where the numbers are and remember, and you're just tweaking things a little bit. So now flying a cinema camera on one of these is fairly easy. You can control full focus. You can have stop start out of the record button. It's just a lot more functional for cameras that 2-3 years ago were not fully integrated into a gimbal's system. And there is a ring coming out to make this a two-handed system with arms that will essentially still translate the communication that you get from here. So I'll be able to have a two-handed setup and pull focus, have a joystick, for a lot less than the cost of a MOVI. Even the cheapest MOVI is going to be a few $1,000s more than that rigged out setup. So now I actually look forward to using a gimbal, specifically this gimbal. Before, I probably shied away when a client might ask, hey, do you have a gimbal? Unless the shot really needed it. Because I found the return on investment, how long it takes to set up the shot for how good the shot was, wasn't worth it. Now, I can confidently say this takes 15 minutes to set up. When they ask how far away is camera, I feel confident giving that answer. In the comments, let me know if you like gimbals, where you've moved on for them, or if you're like me, where you've changed your mind over the years as different technology has become available. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you appreciated me putting this thing on some rollerblades. And until next time, I'm off walking.